Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures, and it's Friday, which means we bring to you yet another obscurity in literature. If you consider comic books literature. Fine literature, that I might add. But yeah, today we've got James Stokoe's Orphan and the Five Beasts that came out relatively recently, at least in paperback collected version. This was originally a mini-series set of floppies. I'm not really keen on picking up floppies these days, even when it's done by Mr. Stokoe here, who I'm absolutely a big fan of. But this book was quite the love letter to classic Hong Kong cinema, especially the kung fu stuff. Obviously, Orphan, Five Beasts, and right off the bat, my initial thought before even reading it was, he is totally channeling the five deadly venoms. And you can see here we've got our five masked beasts, which were the disciples of the master. And we have the orphan who has learned all there is to know from said master and goes off on a quest of vengeance. But if you've never seen Mr. Stokoe's work, it is absolutely mind-bogglingly, ridiculously rich and detailed. Just in every sense of the matter. I mean, he just absolutely pours the details onto the pages. And what's really cool is, for as quick of read as it is, they included all kinds of pencil rough sketches. In the back here, you can see some of just the detail work. So originally, the miniseries, all four covers actually formed one large picture, which you can see a more refined version, and then the final pieces with the first two of the beasts. Sadly, this is not the complete series, but you know what? I will let that slide. But again, just we get these nice initial rough sketches in the back, and then the final inks. And literally, this book is everything by James Stokoe. Art, color, letters, and covers. Yep. There's one criticism I will make towards Stokoe's art, is that it tends to err towards lots of oranges and yellows like this in his coloring. And that's just me being particular. Not to say it detracts in any way from it, but a lot of similar colors when he does his own coloring. But again, even our initial setup, there is a very manga-esque style to his work. And again, just richly packed with details. And that gets me to my major gripe, and it's not really a gripe with him, but with American publishers, is this stuff does not deserve to be condensed into a traditional American style comic. I mean, if ever there was an artist that deserves to have their stuff printed in like European album style work, it's this dude right here. He's definitely on my short list of artists that really need to see their stuff republished in a much more amazing and loving format, if you will. I mean, every panel is just packed. So you've got your master, who trains a bunch of disciples, much like the five deadly venoms, and takes them from there. They're supposed to come back. They never return, and they've all been corrupted. So it's up to our orphan friend to fix everything. Of course, I don't think it's going to be that simple. Obviously, the story is not complete yet. But again, just looking at these panels, I'm like, I really wish this stuff was published in a larger format. Now, at least with like Stokoe's Grunt book, I know Dark Horse made a much larger edition to that, so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that when we finally get around to the finished, cycles of this, because that's one of the things is, I mean, he does work at a bit slower pace, but once it's all done, I'm hoping we see a big deluxe edition. And I know this is Thunder Thighs here, but that horse just totally reminds me of a certain Star Scourge general or whatever his name is. Elden Ring. I mean, just the craziness of the detail. You've got all the bandits flying around in the back. And what's really fun is there is a bit of supernatural impact. We get a little bit of backstory for the beasts that show up. And save some of the dramatic events here. So the first two issues dealing mostly with Thunder Thighs, whereas the second half deals with the introduction of Chopper Tang in his restaurant here. And again, as somebody who grew up watching tons and tons of kung fu movies, and then with the advent of DVD and the internet in the late 90s, early 2000s, went hog wild revisiting a lot of those said movies. There are definitely a lot of nods to that classic Hong Kong Shaw Brothers Golden Harvest type cinema, which I'm totally down with. I'm like, if anybody ever wants to try making figures based off of Stokoe's work, that would be pretty cool. I would be down for an Orphan Mo, and I'm not going to show you what's going on there. Chopper Tang in his early days. Crazy stuff happening. So like I said, there is a bit of supernatural aspect to a lot of this story. I'm not going to spoil it, obviously. But definitely a fun little book. Hopefully, like I said, we're going to see more of it in the relatively near future, and I absolutely would kill to see a big, deluxe, upgraded size-wise edition. I think this is one of those books that really deserves to see the artwork just, loud, vibrant, and big, much like Kill 6 Million Demons and some of Brandon Graham's stuff. Stuff that you basically have seen on this channel, probably, if you haven't seen any of these other Obscurities and literature videos that I've done. Some of these artists' names pop up fairly often, so do check those out. Do check this out, and hopefully I will be checking it out in the near future when we see a subsequent volume. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye!